At long last, the first episode of Gabriel and the Guardians is here, and now that I've seen it, I'm here to give you my super professional review and give my thoughts on it. First and foremost, I want to give a super special thank you to the team over at Colossal Studios for sending me an early copy of the episode so that I could make this review. It truly is an honor to get to cover this series that I'm so excited about and invested in. Now, that said, this review is in no way sponsored, so all of my thoughts are genuine, I swear. With that out of the way, let's talk about the pilot episode of Gabriel and the Guardians and whether or not I think you should give it a watch. In my initial video on the series, I talked about how I really wanted it to be good and break that barrier of having a Christian anime-inspired series, and I feel like the pilot episode succeeds in doing that. I was excited and engaged the entire time, so much so that when the end hit, the only thing I could think was, man, I really want to see more, which is great because that's how pilot episodes should be. If I could summarize the pilot episode in one word, it would be potential. It does an incredible job of establishing the world and thrusting us into it. We also learn a bit about the fundamentals and are shown the state of the world as is. While the series is based on the Bible, none of the connections felt too heavy-handed. Usually when Christians make series like these, they either do an adaptation of the Bible or do something new, but in a way where the Christian themes and symbolism are laid on way too thick. Gabriel and the Guardians finds a nice middle ground here, and there's a good blend of taking inspiration and creating something brand new, like how Paradigm and Ara are meant to be this universe's take on heaven and earth. There's also a lot of really cool concepts introduced, like giant slayers, a spiritual war between celestial guardians and the fallen, or even alchemy, which I'll touch on more in a bit. And these concepts are what kept me engaged because they're interesting and I want to see more, and honestly, they leave me with more questions than answers, and that is how you keep people watching. Speaking of introductions, we do get introduced to our main trio of characters in Gabriel, Nock, and Nehemiah, each with their own unique personality and backstories, and I won't say too much, mainly because I don't want to spoil anything, but I do look forward to seeing more of them, especially how Nock and Nehemiah interact with Gabriel when they inevitably meet up. I even think there's a great dichotomy between Nock and Nehemiah, Nock being someone who sees the evil for what it is and the need to exterminate it, and Nehemiah being someone who's fallen for the deception even if just for her own personal gain. I also really like Gabriel. He has this youthful whimsy that I think will lead to a great coming-of-age type story as he learns to get a little more mature and realize who he truly is. Another aspect of the series I talked about in my original video was the animation and how I had high hopes for it, and I think my expectations were exceeded. I genuinely love the art style because it genuinely looks anime-inspired while also being its own thing. The action was very well animated and clean, making it really easy to follow what was going on while also being impressed by the visuals. Gabriel's fight with the giant in Paradigm was definitely the highlight of the episode, and also where I think the animation got the most time to shine. There were also some really great scenes with Nock and Nehemiah, but I'll let you see those for yourself when you actually watch the pilot episode. And even outside of the fights, the animation was still quite solid, and honestly, if I can be real for a second, gave me big Saturday morning cartoon vibes, especially with the intro, and I appreciate that because we need to go back. Bring back Saturday morning cartoons. Now, to loop back to what I was saying earlier about The Alchemist, this series does have a pretty decent amount of magic in it, which I know can be a stumbling block for some people, especially Christians, so let me take a second to address that. From a biblical standpoint, magic is evil, especially when it comes to witchcraft. That's a truth of the world that we live in. However, keep in mind that Gabriel and the Guardians is a fictional series set in an entirely different world than ours, so of course they have different rules. I think there's also a very clear distinction about the types of magic, and that's important, like how Gabriel's power is used to heal and restore since it comes from Ea, the god equivalent of this universe, and same goes for Nock and his magic he uses to kill giants. But on the flip side of the coin is an evil type of magic that is purely used for chaos and destruction. This falls into the same category as Lord of the Rings, where there's good and pure magic and dark evil magic. You also have to ask yourself, is this series saying I should go out and do this exact thing, or is it using magic as a part of the world to help enhance and tell the story? I personally don't think the presence of magic in this series should bother anyone, especially if you already watch things like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, or even some anime. Now, before I give my final thoughts, I do want to address the one con that I had, something that bothered me the whole time I was watching the pilot, and that's the fact that there is a lot of fade to black and jumping between plots A, B, and C, especially for the runtime only being about 20 minutes. And it felt like right as I was getting interested in something happening with Nock, I'd be whisked back to Gabriel, and as I'm getting invested there, whisked over to Nemaya, and it was just kind of funky, a little weird. I know this is mainly how pilot episodes go sometimes though, so I'll add that as a caveat. There was a lot of ground covered in this first episode and a lot of setup for the main series, so I can understand why things panned out this way. And even though it was a lot of changing around, I still enjoyed it all, and I don't feel like it detracted from my experience or enjoyment that much. So now, the moment of truth. Do I think you should watch Gabriel and the Guardians? Yes, obviously. Did you think I'd get to the end of this video and tell you no? Like I've said throughout this video, I think the pilot is a great start and honestly left me wanting more. I'm excited to see where the story goes and how it plays out from here, and the animation is solid, the characters are great, and the music is really good, which I forgot to mention until now. I was absolutely bopping and jamming to the music and the soundtrack, so whoever did that, incredible job. This truly feels like a genuine attempt to make a Western anime-inspired series that isn't based on an existing franchise, and the creators love anime, and you can feel that come across in the episode, so I'm very much excited to see more. Now that I've talked about the pilot, I want to take a brief second to talk about the prequel manga that also recently came out, because what's an anime without a manga, right? The prequel manga is pretty short and serves more as a teaser than anything else, and that being said, much like the main series, the art is really good and it feels like any other manga series I would have bought. And while I was reading it, there were genuine moments where I forgot that it wasn't made in Japan by a mangaka, but right here in the US, and it even reads right to left like Japanese manga, which is such a neat thing because it would have been really easy to gloss over that. Most of the manga covers things that aren't in the pilot episode at all, so it's not like you're just rehashing what you just watched either, and I do really hope this gets turned into a full manga series because I'd love to read more and just to have it on my shelf as part of the collection. They even made it the same size as the typical Shonen Jump volume. Look. They even made it the same size as the typical Shonen Jump volume. So like you got the Shonen Jump on the back and then you put it like literally overlays right on top. Perfect fit, dude. It's perfect. The prequel manga is available right on the Angel Studios website if you want to give it a read, which I highly recommend doing because it also helps support the incredible team who worked on it and shows that there is a demand for more content like this, and same goes for watching the pilot episode. It's very easy to complain about the state of Western media and how bad it's gotten, so when projects like Gabriel and the Guardians pop up, we should be supporting them, which is another reason I talk about this series so much. Yes, I do genuinely love it and the content that's been put out so far, but I also want to put my money where my mouth is because I have no right to stand here and complain about how bad Western media is and then ignore good projects like this. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Gabriel and the Guardians, at least the pilot episode and the prequel manga, which is all I've got to talk about for now. But before you leave, I bet you're wondering, where can you watch Gabriel and the Guardians? And that is an excellent question. As of right now, the pilot episode is available only on the Angel Studios app and only to their guild members, which is a subscription service starting at $12 a month. Now, that does seem like a steep price, I know, but I have it on good authority that the episode will be available to everyone for free sometime in the future. And if you're watching this video on or somehow before February 12th, then there's a live stream today at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the Angel Studios website and YouTube channel where you can watch the pilot episode for free. But for now, I'll end it there. Be sure to venture down to the comments and let me know if I convinced you to give this show a try or if you were already excited for it. While you're down there, you can subscribe so you don't miss any of my future content because I've got some great videos coming up soon. And as always, I want to give a special shout out to all the channel members since you all are what make these videos possible. If you want to watch more, you can check out my playlist on A Christian's Guide to Anime or this other video that the algorithm thinks you'll like. So until then, I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.